Now I've changed my role from riding to being here in the arena with Bettina, and we're both going to work with Philippa and Kate. Philippa's on an intermediate horse that's going to 2-star level. Horse is called Don't Know. It's not that I don't know, the horse is called Don't Know. And Kate is riding Captain Pineapple. Captain Pineapple is novice and has just gone intermediate. But it doesn't matter how good a rider I am or how good a horse Captain Pineapple or Don't Know are. It's up to the riders to make it happen. And so for you who are at home and have your own horse, it's important that the horse is responsive to your aids and you are the master of your own destiny. What I'm going to work on with both Kate and Philippa today is just some work on the flat to start with, then just working over some poles and vertical and oxa, and then introduce the horses to open ditches. An open ditch you cannot have here in the arena, so we have to improvise, and what I've got is a piece of plastic that I'm going to open out and is a good substitute for an open ditch.
He's looking around quite a lot, Don't Know. Should he be a little bit round in his outline and just using the legs a little bit more so that he's going actually more forward? It's getting better now, but he was just quite hollow. Like now, he's coming up in the turn.
Yeah.
And just...
Yes, at times, Philippa, he does come up a little too high with his head carriage. If he does, and like many horses, when you come into a new environment, they come a little high. Just think, if you've got the contact even with your reins and he's gone against your hand, just think of bending him a little to the right or a little to the left, not quickly, but so that you get him that he has to give a little bit in his neck muscles, like there, where he's looking at the jump, just on his right. And sometimes it even pays to do a little bit of counter bend. Rather than turn him in to look at the fence, turn him away so it takes his mind away from the fence. Yes, and it also helps you to make you use your outside leg. That's good. And see how you've just got him a little rounder there. All right, and just stop, Philippa. And now just walk on. Just think of him being rounder. Before you moved off, you could have just, with your fingers, just felt a little bit his mouth so that he doesn't go against you, that you just think of keeping him a little rounder. Just hold once more.
What do you mean by what you said with your fingers? What do you want her to do with her fingers?
What I mean is, if the horse goes against, you sometimes just move. You're holding the reins, just you can either bend your wrist down a little bit
or you play with your fingers.
You just play with your fingers a little bit, just to get the mouth, the bit moving in the mouth a little bit, just to get the attention of the horse, and at the same time you use your legs. So this is where you start to bring together the use of the leg and the hand at the same time, as opposed to the horse that you're really starting out with, where you keep it very separate, the use of the hand and the use of the leg.
Mm-hmm.
So effectively, it's like riding a little bit of a half halt.
Right. And it just takes the pressure away from the bit, and they're not stucking that much on the bit. So they just loosen up in the mouth. That's what they do when you play with your fingers, isn't it?
Yes, it just helps them to stop locking in the jaw and locking through the lower neck muscles like Philippa is doing now. It
looks
much
better already.
Much better. That's much better, Philippa. Kate, just go on at rising trot. That's good. The rhythm is good. And the outline is good.
It does become a fraction narrow in his neck at times.
Yes.
Is it because her reins are sometimes a little bit too short? Because then she needs to really stretch her arms out to lengthen the neck if she wants to. Or do you think the length is all right of the reins like that?
I think the length is fine there. Sometimes she could be just a little more elastic through the elbow.
It's locking here a little bit,
Yeah.
isn't it? Locking in the shoulders a bit.
Being elastic in the elbow means that you mustn't lock through the shoulder and lock your hands into a position in front. You need to maintain a contact, but not lock in that contact.
So you try to relax here, have the shoulders relaxed and low, and then...
Yes, what I've found, it's the muscles here that you lock in, that you really get tense and tight in the muscles in the top of the arm, and also the muscles down the side here underneath the arm.
Because she does look quite tight in her upper body, doesn't she? Like it's not really relaxed.
Kate, just as you're riding around there, just think of being a little more elastic through the elbow, so don't lock through the shoulder quite as much. Just think of allowing him forward just with the contact, but still keeping your fingers closed on the reins. That's a little better.
Yeah.
See how just in the neck muscles of the horse you can just
see that he's stretching now.
He's just stretching a little bit more, and he's just starting to become a little more elastic.
Yeah. That's much better.
So it's important with the work at novice level that we don't try and force the horse into a position as opposed to allowing it just to produce its natural gait. And this only comes about through the horse being receptive to the aids. Philippa, just go into canter on the right rein.
Your hands are a bit, her hands are a bit uneven at times. Is it because she's carrying the whip left?
Yes, it is because of the whip. Philippa, at times your left hand is higher than your right. And so think of just always keeping your right hand up with your left hand and being elastic through the elbows so that you are just feeling you have just a steady contact with the horse's mouth and not a rigid one that you're holding him in a position. You have to be elastic so that you go with the movement of the horse.
That's why you need to have it on one level so that you be elastic. Or why do you need to have it?
Why you need it on one level is that if you've got your right hand lower and your left hand higher, you have a direct contact to the horse's mouth, and then that
you produce a different angle in the mouth of the bit.
Yes.
The bit is on a different angle.
The bit ends up on a different angle, and so you end up with the horse tilting his head a little. That's good. The canter is good, the quality of the canter. Philippa, just canter on around and over the pole between the wings. Just look at it early and just think of your seat being in the saddle and feeling the canter. Just keep that canter.
What did she do? She opened her hand and she wasn't really having her legs on enough?
What I noticed about 4 strides away, when Philippa 5 strides from the fence, the bit in the horse's mouth started to move, and so Philippa started to get a little tight through the upper body. Yes, good. There, that was better because you actually used your leg and you kept the horse to a steady contact rather than being busy with your hands.
So you need to have your hands very still so that the horse can actually concentrate. Otherwise, it's concentrating on the bit if you wriggle too much.
Yes.
By the, like, coming towards the fence, like being a couple of meters away, if you wriggle too much, the horse is just concentrating on the mouth and not on what you want him to do.
Yes, because our hands are a form of communication. And if we move our hands too much, we're then communicating something to the horse. Turn left or turn right or stop or what do we really want? And in actual fact, it's the rider becoming a little nervous coming to the fence. And so you need to just really allow the horse to keep cantering, feeling with your seat, keeping a steady hand, but the horse round and submissive to the aids. That's good. And when the horse does jump over the pole, go with him and it'll be elastic through the elbow. Just do a circle here around the red one. I just want the canter just a fraction rounder and sitting deeper in the saddle. Keep the canter. Keep the canter good. And sit deep, look at your fence and start counting. That's better.
That's better.
Very good. You feel that? Came much better. The pole came out of the canter. Yes, you could tell by listening to you counting that it got shorter and it got tighter about 3 strides away. Just think of the rhythm and the canter and the rhythm.
Yes.
That was better, much better. All right, and just take a break and Kate, go into canter. That trot's good. Canter transition's good. And don't allow him to become any lower with his head carriage. So think of sitting deep in the saddle so you feel the rhythm and just keeping him up in front of you.
Why don't you want him lower than that?
I just felt that the canter was getting a little too heavy and too deep, and so that the horse couldn't really focus where he was going, like coming to a pole.
So he's just looking on the ground. He wouldn't really see the pole properly or not early enough. Is that?
Yes, and the quality of the canter was heavy and on the forehand. It
Right.
wasn't a balanced canter. Don't allow your reins any shorter, a little shorter. Any longer, I should say. The reins must be shorter.
But now the canter is established enough to come over the pole,
Yes,
is it?
over the pole, Kate. Come over the pole next time round. Think of keeping him up in front and elastic through the elbow, not pulling back. Forward, look at it.
Looking at Philippa and Kate, like they're riding with quite different length of stirrups. Do you think Kate's stirrups should be a bit fraction shorter so that she can actually feel a little bit better? Especially over the pole.
That time she got away with it. The time before though, yes, the stirrups are just a tiny bit long. Just Kate, just take your stop. I just want you to take your stirrups up one hole. Kate, now that you've shortened your stirrups, I'd like you to come to the pole on the ground again, and I want you to think forward to it, not back, not holding him with your hand, but think of the canter being forward, start counting early, look at your fence early, start counting earlier, and just keep coming to it. Don't be frightened of the pole and starting to grab. That's good.
that's much better.
Fabulous. It's exactly what I want, like to be able to keep coming just like that, exactly the same rhythm.
Is it more use of the leg, or is it because she's not pulling that much? There she wasn't using enough leg, wasn't she?
That time, she was not using enough leg. She came to it about 5, 6 out, not quite sure, and so we automatically get into that scenario. Oh, I can't
take
see
the
a
leg off.
distance, I can't feel anything, so take the leg away. You've got to keep developing the canter every stride. Yes, now think forward a little more, Kate. And think of just keeping your leg on all the time, exactly like that. That's great. Yes. And the next time, just change your direction. So think of changing your bend early and using your leg in the change. And think forward.
So you want the horse now to make a flying change over the pole, like that?
Yes, that was good. Because she changed the bend early enough.
Yeah.
And gave the horse the opportunity to change over the pole. That was very good. When you kick, think of being elastic in the elbows so that you can keep going forward.
Oops.
Just come again, Kate, once more, because then, first of all, you tightened in the first change of direction and you started to come around the corner. You tightened, you took hold of him too much. When you kick, just think of being elastic through your elbows. Think of keeping your hands closed and being elastic. Once more. Count this time.
1, 2,
Forward.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, much better.
Once more. That was a little better. And count now.
1, 2,
No, stop. Don't jump it. Just do a circle. Keep counting. Start now.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
It helps her to stop pulling, doesn't
Yes.
it?
Start counting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18.
That was better. Often, as riders, as soon as we look at the fence, we automatically think, we've got to do something. We've got to help the horse jump. The way that we can help the horse jump is to interfere the least. Allow the horse to canter to the fence in the rhythm that you've got, and the horse is the one that does the jumping. We're not the one that does the jumping. We are just there riding the horse, showing the horse which way we want the horse to go, and just trying to help the horse keep a good forward canter. But so many people, as soon as they look at the fence, they think, I've got to do something. So they take hold, they start to pull, they start to use more leg, they then are not sure, they're looking at the fence like 6, 5 strides from the fence, can't see a distance, can't feel it because they've taken the leg away from the horse. The canter's getting slower and slower, and then all of a sudden, 3 strides in front of the fence, they say, yes, there it is, go, 1, 2, 3, jump. Like I'll just do a little demonstration myself on 2 different ways of running to this pole and stepping over it. Like you can just run to it like this and run straight over it, and you wouldn't know that I've crossed over the pole. The other way is that you come to the pole and then all of a sudden you make a big step over the pole. Now that is a very energy using way of jumping a pole. The other way is just coming to it and it just being in your rhythm, and I'm looking at the pole, just walking to it, and I just step straight over it. And that way I can walk over many poles. the same as the horse can walk or jump over many poles, whereas this way, shorter, shorter, a big step, and then over. I'm still trying to achieve the same thing of getting over the pole. One is done in an economical manner, one is done in a difficult manner. When you start running cross-country or in the show jumping arena where you're jumping many fences, if you use a lot of energy, over 30 of the fences, you get to the end of the course, the horse is absolutely exhausted. And so what we're trying to achieve here in the show jumping arena is just coming and working over the pole with minimum effort so that the horse just steps over the pole. All right, now start your canter, Kate, and just come to this fence again. Think of being elastic through the upper body. Not tight and not pulling. Yep. And then this time change direction as well. Think of changing the bend early and think of forward. Now think forward. Yes, good. And once more, exactly the same thing.
She wasn't riding forward enough in the corner and looking too late, was she?
The looking was early enough. It
Yeah.
definitely wasn't forward enough around the corner. You have to be forward through your corner. You just sat and took your leg away. Yes.
So if you're forward enough, it's
Forward.
not a big thing if you come then a tiny little bit closer, isn't it? As long as you keep your leg on.
Yeah, that's better. Good.
Why didn't he change? She just was concentrating more on the leg than on the change of the bending.
She came to it with right bend then.
Yeah.
And that's why it didn't change. Yes, good. And you changed your bend. This time think of changing your bend earlier. Think forward, yes. Yeah, very good. And see, changed that time well because you changed your bend early enough. Just think forward and leg on. Yes.
She's definitely much more forward now, isn't she?
Yes,
and the horse
much
finds
better.
it obviously much easier to change then as well.
All right, Kate, that's good. Just have a rest for a minute. Philippa,
Yeah.
I'd like you to work over the pole as well. Now, just think of him being forward as well, but you're going to have to think of keeping him a little rounder because he comes up and goes against you. So use your leg in the turn and coming around the turn, and think of keeping the contact, a good even strong contact with his mouth as you come to the fence with your leg on. Yes. That time I think you're a little too restrictive with your hands.
Okay.
What you were trying to achieve was good, but just all the time think forward and now count.
So even if the head of the horse comes up, you still try to keep the same contact. Like you work on the roundness, but you keep going. So
Yes.
that you at least come to a nice distance to the fence, even when the horse's head gets up.
Yeah,
Because
regardless.
if you can't get it all right at the same time, what's the main thing you want to concentrate on is to keep him going, isn't it?
The most important thing is that you've got to get to as good a takeoff spot as you can.
Yeah.
Sure, you get to the fence when the horse hasn't got his head in the ideal position, where he may be inverted or he may be too low. But the important thing is that you just keep coming to the fence, that you try and get as good a takeoff spot as possible. So you've all the time got to think forward. Now, forward doesn't mean faster. Forward means still in the same rhythm. So that
you keep him working behind.
yes,
Yeah.
you keep the hindquarters engaged. That's good. We'll just put it up. That's good. Philippa, I just felt when you went over the fence then, you just allowed forward too much with your hand before you got there. Think of keeping hold all the way to the fence.
Why is that so important? That she keeps hold.
Especially for when we start to cross country,
Right.
to ride cross country. It's really important that you keep hold, because if you release the front end as you run to a fence, your horse ends up jumping over his shoulder too much. Yes, very good.
Yeah, she's really thinking forward now, isn't she?
Yes.
Like she really tries and keep him in the rhythm.
Very good. And sure, she was on a little bit of a long one, but she could feel it early enough because she was sitting and thinking forward all the time and just didn't grab him to try and stop him that time. Come round to the oxer. Philippa, on the turn, think of just keeping him forward, like start kicking him now so that you keep him coming forward. Yes. Feel the difference?
Yep.
That time, he was forward and you were to a deep spot, which was good. The other times you've just been away from it a little. That's good, just come from the other direction. Again, you did not keep the canter coming around the corner and you didn't count the strides. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Just stop, Philippa. What I'd like to do now is introduce Pineapple to a ditch. Now, I know that he's jumped ditches and you've jumped ditches with him. But at any stage, if it doesn't quite go right at a competition and you want to come back and school a ditch and you haven't got a ditch at home, just get some plastic, a tarp or something that you can roll up and put down on the ground. Just hold it with some poles so that it doesn't blow around, and then start off with it very narrow. I want you to walk over it to start with, exactly the same as you walk over a pole. Then I want you to trot over it. Then I want you to canter over it. Then I want you to come a little quicker, and then we'll make it a fraction wider, then we go back to walk again. Just turn right. And just walk over it. Just walk. Don't allow the walk. Don't hurry the walk. Just allow him to walk. Yes, you have to look at it early, turn left and come back over it. You have to look at it early and just feel the rhythm that you've got, the walk rhythm. Very good. All right, and come into trot, and exactly the same thing at trot.
It was a little bit too fast. That's why he tried to jump.
Yes,
because he was a little bit over his rhythm.
Yes, the trot was too hurried. Just quietly with the trot. Yes, that trot. And
Yeah,
there,
that's
he
much
just
better.
stepped over it.
Yeah.
Whereas before, Kate was just hurrying him a little bit too much and he then tried to jump it. Kate, just go into canter and just canter over it. Very good. And just a little quicker. This way you get familiar with the horse's rhythm by increasing the speed and decreasing it. Just once more, a little quicker. All right, just walk, Kate. We'll just make it a little wider, Bettina. All right, just walk to it. Now, the last time you came to it, you were just a little too restrictive with your speed and a little too tight through the upper body. You weren't just allowing enough, an elastic through the elbow enough. And just always look at the front of it, because that's where you have to get to. You can just turn left and come to it like that. You can come on a little bit of an angle. Don't always come straight to it. Yes, that's better. That time you stepped over it. Yes, very good. Now go into trot. But I talk about schooling over a little open ditch and so on. When you're riding down the edge of the road, especially in the UK, there are so many little drains or ditches along the edge of the road that you can just do that. And it doesn't matter where you are. If there's a little open ditch, just walk over it, trot over it, canter over it. You don't have to go to a cross-country venue to go introduce your horse to ditches. Right, and change your direction, Kate. That trot is good there, no faster. Good. Now go into canter.
She's slowing down, coming to the fence, isn't she? Like a couple of strides out, she just pulls a little bit.
Just start counting your strides and just think of the rhythm all the way to the fence so you don't pull back.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Very good. That time was excellent. And it just comes back to really counting your distances to the fence. What I'm now going to work on is some related distances and working with related distances, and also preparing your horse to jump narrow obstacles, and how do we go about preparing for that, because it's all really quite simple. I've actually been able to persuade Bettina Overish to help me with this, and also ride her horse Unsung Hero, who is a 2-star level.
He actually won a 2-star level.
I have to say he's actually won at 2-star level. But all the same, although he's at 2-star level, it's still important that we work on these principles and distances, because the important factors with riding related distances is the quality of the approach to the first element. It determines how you jump through the related obstacle. If you have a bad quality approach, you can guarantee that at some stage throughout the combination you are going to get into problems. Invariably, the problems are not being on the correct line is one, and secondly, being at the wrong speed. Two very important factors. And so the best way to start is just with 2 poles on the ground at a related distance, so that you become comfortable at riding over the poles at the speed and in the rhythm, and also on your approach to the first element. You must stay focused on that first element, no matter how worried you are about the second, the third, or the fourth element. Because if you do not jump the first element correctly, you will never get to the second element, or the element that you're worried about. And many riders look too far down the line before they have jumped that first element. And like all of the horses, you need to prepare and just warm up by just trotting over the single poles, and also having a canter over the poles, so that you help to get the feel of the rhythm in relationship to your eye to the fence so that you can come to the fences in a good rhythm and a good quality canter. Like there was a situation where Bettina was just a little away from the pole, and so she needs to just look at the pole early and just count the rhythm, whether it be aloud or just to herself. Yeah, that was good. What, did you do anything different that time?
Yeah. I held him a little bit more together actually and gave a little bit more leg.
Yes. What about counting the rhythm to the
I
fence?
haven't done that so far.
This next time I want you to count your rhythm to it, because both those last times he's just touched the pole with his hind legs.
1, 2,
hind
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Bettina's counting
9,
in German.
10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16. It was
And
better.
see how the canter came, the pole actually came in the middle of the canter stride.
1, 2,
because
3,
she was just
4,
counting the
5,
rhythm
6,
through the
7,
fence.
8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. I come too big. Whoops. Why
Yes.
was that?
That time, like you were a little too far away, but you just need to come again. I think just in the 5 or 6 strides out, just make sure that you've got your canter still coming forward and not holding. Just come to the single pole once again, and then I'd like you to come to the 2 poles. Very good. Now just come to both poles. Just think of the canter rhythm is fine that you've got. Just look at your first pole. Yes, very good. That way, through just working through a line like this and just poles on the ground, you get a feeling for the rhythm that you've got and for coming to your first element. Now, I'd just like Bettina to jump through the combination behind me, which is just a vertical, to an oxa, which is just a normal 1 stride.
Shouldn't I do the upright first? I haven't had a jump.
Yeah, sure. We'll start off over the upright and then jump that in a figure of 8 a couple of times and then come to the combination. Just about 4 strides out, you came to it and he was just a little low with his head. Just keep him up in front and just keep your leg on there. Yes. Just count the rhythm to yourself. All right, and what I'd like you to do is come on more of a turn so that you're still turning into your fence. Not straight the last 3 or 4 strides. Yes, that's better. And that way it'll be easier to keep a more even canter. Yes. There, that's better. And can you just come from the other side? See, if you come off the turn to the fence, it actually helps you to keep the rhythm and not allow the horse to lock and get straight to the fence. All right, that was good. Once more, and then just stay right-handed. And now come to your double. Just making sure that you look at the first rail all the way to the fence. Yeah, good. Very good. The important thing there with the rider, which Bettina was very good at, was just going with the horse and just allowing the horse to jump up into you, and therefore not being too active with the upper body. Just once more. That was good. He's landing on the left lead all the time. I just think that you should just try and keep the contact a little bit more through the line. You're just a little forward with the hand and a little loose with the elbow. Just try and keep the contact so that it jumps what I refer to as into the hand. Turn in it from there. Yes. I felt that was better.
Yeah.
Yep. The important thing with him is that you just try and keep the quality of the canter with your approach to it, because he sometimes is a bit inclined to take his nose and head out against you a couple of
Yeah, he
strides.
just gets a little bit strong then in front of the fence.
Yes. Yeah.
But it gets actually worse the more I pull, like the more I ride backwards,
Yep.
the more he goes against it.
Yes, because you just restrict the canter stride too much and then the horses do fight. Because often we create the fight against the horse and we create the problems. Many of us are very good at creating problems with our horses. As I said earlier, our horse can walk, trot, canter, gallop, do flying change and jump a log in the field long before we ever get on its back. And then when we do get on its back, it finds it difficult to do some of these things. And so we just need to be able to allow the horse to produce what it's capable of producing. It cannot jump 2 meters if it's only capable of jumping 1.50 meters. So it can't jump beyond its ability. It can't gallop any faster than it's physically capable of galloping. So it's important that we as riders just allow the horse to blossom and grow and develop as much as it can. Here is a narrow fence and a block, some blocks that I would like to work with. What I've done is I've put 4 little blocks on the ground. I've then put a bigger pole on the top with a small pole underneath just as in front of it. And then what I'm going to do in time is just slowly take the blocks away and just the poles and work with it. And so this will help to give you an understanding of how to have your horse become comfortable with jumping narrow fences and you being able to ride to narrow fences. Again, the important thing is that you sit squarely on the horse, you have an even contact with the reins, and that you just come and allow the horse to canter over the fence in its rhythm. So it's important that you look at the subject being the blocks or the pole, you stay focused on that, and that you, if you want to, count the rhythm of the canter stride to yourself. It will definitely help you to get there. All right, why don't you just canter over this, and I'll just work with the blocks, just taking them away, Tina. Just looking at it early and just trying to stay in a good rhythm. Just trying to keep that. Very good. I just take one block away, leave the big pole there. all the time heading towards the middle of the blocks that are left. So all the time jumping the fence in the middle is the important thing. All right, just make sure that you stay for a good distance to it and not too far away. Very good. Every rider makes mistakes, no matter what level you're at. We are not magicians. Good. Now here it's just a matter of working with the poles, just taking them away so that you have a top pole that's wide, then a narrow pole on the top and a wide ground line. Very good. Now I put another block in here and put the pole on the ground, and I just spread the blocks a little bit so as the horse can come to the middle. Just to make it a little easier. Just important to keep the leg on all the time, just coming to the fence. Now, just a single block, but I make it lower. Good. Now I take just the pole away, leave the single block there. If you have difficulty, if the horse is running one way or the other, always go back to the stage of making it easier. Never be afraid to go back and make it easier. Very good.
Boy.
Now I go upright and I put a pole in front to make the ground line a little easier. So that it's just a little easier for the horse to focus on and also the rider. Very good. And once more.
Now it gets complicated. I think I start counting again better.
Just important to just keep coming and just thinking forward and the rhythm, just counting.
12, 13, 14. Good boy.
Very good. All right, that's fabulous. I believe the way that you introduce your horse to water is extremely critical for the overall success of the way you negotiate your water complexes at competitions. Almost every cross-country course has a water jump. Therefore, if at any stage you have a bad experience, never be afraid to go back and making it very simple of just walking in and out of water, trotting through the water, cantering through the water, and then just placing a fence in front and also in the water, so as the horse and you become confident with running through water. If a horse looks like this, don't become nervous, don't start and spur him. Just give him time to think, look at it, and take a very quiet step. You can just see from the horse's eyes and his ears, he's unsure what to do. Give him security in the form of a pat. Just sit quietly on him and turn right for Tina. And when you're in the water, just ride around the outside of the water so that the horse becomes comfortable with going through the water and all the splashes that are incurred from him stepping. Then when he walks confidently, ask him to trot in the water, still staying in the water and not leaving. And change the direction. And see here, you can see that the horse is becoming confident with the way that he's doing it. Ride straight ahead and out of the water. And just turn round and trot in from that direction. Just do it once more and just try and hold him in trot as you enter the water so that he doesn't change his rhythm. Just keep the contact and keep him round. All right, now canter through the water. Next time through the water and over the jump. Just come back over the jump and then into the water. It's okay, just, I know he ran off with you a little bit, just come round to the left once again and canter through the water and then over the log once again. Just looking at the jump, because that helps you to just keep the rhythm of where you're riding to. Yes, good. What we've now got is some real novices. I haven't ridden mine at a competition before, and Bettina's has not even been to an event. So we're just going to work through a very similar way, working over small fences, just to get the horse's confidence. With the novices, you can just give them a little more time to see the fence. So just come from a little straighter earlier. And 3 strides out, I just indicated with my lower leg, my spur, to keep going forward to the fence. Turning the corner. Good. He just fell over that a little bit, so I just jumped the smaller one again. Just make sure you try and keep them balanced on the turn, not slipping, not turning too tight, and just being positive, coming to the fence. That was better. And I just come to the bigger one again, and then if it goes well, I then go to the trachena. I had to be very positive coming to the trachena. This is better now. Oh. There, I was not positive enough early enough. try once more. That's better distance, better rhythm. Just as you come to it, just think of keeping your hand just a little higher, so it'll help his canter and the balance coming to the fence. See, with the younger horses and the less experienced, they've got often the more flat the jump and their reflexes are not quite as good. So you've got to be careful that you give them time to see and think about what they have to do. Yeah, that's getting better. She rode that very well, although the horse really hesitated and looked in the ditch. Yet the way that it was ridden was good. She couldn't have been more positive than she was. And it's just a matter of getting their confidence and not rushing them, not pushing them into a situation, but just being positive in the way that you ride them.
So you can help this in the school, can't you? Can you tell
Yes, working in the school, you can definitely help them by just using a little bit of plastic down on the ground and making it very narrow to start with, and then a little wider. As the horse has confidence, you can just come at it quietly, walk and trot and then canter, and then do it in gallop, and then change the speed and the width. Yeah, see, that was much better, and he's just getting confidence now, and it was also good that he had a break from jumping the ditch to going back and just jumping a normal fence. And then once they've done it well, I'm inclined to give them a break and then start up again and do a similar procedure, but always go back to it being very narrow and small to start with and working your way up. Don't continue from where you've finished. Don't go too far away, Kate. That canter's good, the rhythm's good. Just as he jumps, make sure you go with him. Be elastic with the elbow over the fence and not tight through the small of the back either. Allow him to jump up into you. Yeah, that was better. Keep cantering to the right and come back over from that direction. That's a good rhythm. Yep. Keep your leg on. Canter around and over the bigger one. Just think forward and elastic through the elbow. Just come to the bigger one again off the left rein, and then if he jumps it well, then go to the trachena. Think forward though. turn's a little too tight and not enough time to look at it. You could have just given him a little more time to look at it. The turn was just a little too tight. Just come off the turn right and canter around from here and canter to it. Just allow him forward. That was better, much better. With a small complex here, with a ditch and rails and a little palisade on an angle and also a small house, what I'm going to do is just demonstrate to you how you can jump so many different ways and introduce the horse to an open ditch and a ditch and rail and pheasant feeder, the palisade and also the house. There, I was just too far away. I wasn't positive enough off the turn, going forward enough. That's better, to the open ditch, much better. I just come to the little house again. All the time just thinking forward. And back to the ditch. That was just hurrying him a little because I lost too much pace on the turn. Just do the ditch and rail. Looking at the ditch. Again, looking at the palisade. Now riding to the ditch and rail where I have to bounce. And I now jump the angled ditch to the palisade. And now a more difficult one, the rail to the ditch. Just look at the rail and ride to the rail. Well, there's a situation where it was very easy for me just to continue on, do lots of jumps, not too much cantering, just staying in a really nice rhythm. For a young horse such as Bettina's, it's really important just to give him a little time and not hurry him, but just see nice distances. Like he's jumping the open ditch, just fabulous. He couldn't be trying harder. But she's just trying to keep a good contact with the reins all the time, the leg there just supporting him forward. And then when she does get to and feel the distance, she is positive and says to the horse with an indication from the leg, keep going. And she also steers the horse well, just with a quiet hand. And if you've got the horse in a good rhythm and a good balance, if you are wrong to a fence, it then gives the horse the opportunity to think for himself a little bit and help you out, because it doesn't happen all the time that you get them to the right spot. There, his head just needs to be up a little. She's just trotting to the ditch. By trotting and holding the horse in trot, it just gives the horse a little more time to think about what he's doing, and it is quite a short distance. It's only 7 meters from the ditch to the rail. So it's a very short one stride. And that was very good. All the time just looking at the ditch and keeping the rhythm to the ditch. There he started to run off, but she was very strong with him, so indicated to him to keep listening to her.